So many of us that are, or who would consider themselves the awakened ones, we may struggle with the holiday blues. We may struggle automatically through our body's programming every time that a specific date comes around. We may not be aware of that, but that's how our body actually works. If you understand neurochemistry, if you understand that the body, your muscles hold energy, store memories, you would be able to kind of put these dots together and see, okay, I see how that could happen. It's more common to realize that maybe around a specific date of a deceased loved one, that either it's their birthday or the date that they passed, you may naturally feel more sad or depressed around that time every year. Like clockwork, because our bodies are cyclical. We are cyclical beings. And again, we do hold memory within our muscles and our body. And so a certain date can trigger you to go automatically into a state of sadness. So a lot of empathic people get the holiday blues. A lot of awakened individuals get the holiday blues. And this is why, and if you're not sure why, maybe you're watching this and you love the holidays and you're just trying to watch this to see a different perspective. Welcome. I welcome everyone here. So that we can all kind of expand our consciousness and maybe empathize or try to sympathize with someone else that has a different experience or view of life or opinion. Because I think that what's most important is unity. And it's very hard when there is a strong separation mindset. That's kind of, whenever there's a separation mindset, I find that's the hardest. These are the hardest relationships to try to come together with, sometimes making it nearly impossible. If someone is constantly trying to separate themselves, constantly trying to say, I'm right, you're wrong, that's when unfortunately no contact is best, even with your sacred family or tribe, because it's only going to produce destruction and pain. So I think that a lot of empathic and awakened individuals don't really resonate with the holidays, especially here in America, because a lot of the holidays that we are set to practice aren't really the holidays that our ancestors practiced. The main holidays that we practice in America, this would be like the Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Valentine's Day. Those are really pagan holidays. Those are holidays that don't really resonate or speak with specifically Christians. A lot of times people in Christian faith just don't jive with paganism or pagan beliefs. And I get that. I understand. We also have these holidays like Memorial Day and the 4th of July. And, a lot of that's really questionable too, I think, for people with an awakened soul, because we're just like, where is the real justice in this country on stolen land? And how could we, celebrate a holiday like Thanksgiving that really commemorates the death of the people that this land belongs to, and that it was ripped and stolen from them, and the first Thanksgiving was really a huge bait and switch and manipulation tactic, guised in being thankful. And people, they love it. And maybe you love it. I'm not here to attack you. I'm just trying to open your perspective to why people may not really sit well with it. So I think that what happens when people awaken, they really want to begin to walk in truth. They really become more aware of where they give their energy, what they're buying into, and rituals. So it's hard for others to understand why, when someone awakens, that they no longer want to participate in these holidays or family traditions. To the awakened one, going into these rituals, and that's exactly what all holidays are, is really hard for people because it's not the truth to them. So respecting that someone wants to walk in truth, I think, is imperative. It's imperative towards one step coming back together in a relationship too. You have to understand that this person essentially is saying, I will not buy into this holiday just because I'm told to do it. I feel in my soul that there's corruption I feel in my soul, that this doesn't align with my beliefs, and we need to become okay with that. I think over the next few generations, we're going to start to see a major shift within the holiday sector, specifically in America, but across the world, because more and more individuals are we're just not buying, just doing what we're told to do just because, and so I think that's a good thing. Um, when I think of the corruption behind not just Thanksgiving, I think of New Year's Eve. And me being African American, the calendar that my ancestors were aligned to had 13 months in the year. And the Gregorian calendar, from my understanding, is what we are all aligned with now. So there can be kind of a clash there. Another thing with New Year's Eve is in America, this was known as hiring day in the South. And this was a day, New Year's Eve was a very unnerving and scary day for slaves because they weren't sure if the next day on the first of the year, if the slave master was going to, rent them out or sell them or separate them from their kids and loved ones on the 1st of January. So there's a lot of corruption behind these holidays, and I'm always surprised how families will challenge their loved ones and make them feel bad for not wanting to participate when they're really just saying, stop, this isn't right, and I want to do what is right in my soul. So I think that we need to have more respect for individuals that are trying to align themselves with truth and to align themselves with their ancestry, to align themselves to a spiritual practice, and ultimately just align themselves to truth. I applaud people that don't just follow the mass path. It's biblical to not just follow the mass path, which most people struggle with, because it's a lot easier to be me too, me too, me too. It's a lot easier to do something if you don't feel alone than it is to walk alone and say, I'm going to skip to the beat of my own drums. I see this is right, and I'm going to change the game. So I always applaud the game changers and the revolutionaries that are not afraid to stand up for what's right, what they believe is right. I'm Aquarius, so I'm all about it. You can't put me in a box, even if you tried, so that's what this whole Pluto and Aquarius era is about breaking free from these molds. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these next few decades play out. Then we get into Easter. Christmas is a pagan holiday. Easter is a pagan holiday. It's a fertility ritual. So I can see how many people don't really resonate with that, and how it's the guise that it's this resurrection time tied to the story of Jesus, and Christmas is really a guise to the time of his birth, which is not December 25th, which is proven. So a lot of us are saying, so why do it, right? Cupid on the Valentine's Day is a god. Essentially, it's a god that some people may not want to buy into, and those are the main holidays. And then we have Halloween, and that is pagan. So here's the thing. This is what I recommend if you're trying to switch your mindset regarding holidays. Number one, you have to understand that if you subscribe to the pagan holidays like Halloween and Christmas and Easter and you love them, that's okay. That's okay. I am not against paganism. I'm actually for everybody's spiritual ancestral roots. We all have spiritual ancestral roots, and the Celtics, this is their thing. I can't hate on that. It's their thing. So what I'm saying is, if you're a Christian and you love these holidays, why can't you find peace within yourself to say, I subscribe to this. I really like this. I'm not going to demonize where this comes from. I'm going to stand in truth that this was stolen in the guise of my religion, and I still subscribe to it. This is where you start to become more congruent. Instead of having these pieces of you like in the back of your mind, it's pagan, but you're still practicing it and love it. You have to find this place of love for what you're doing, for all of your rituals. And I think that that's where you'll have more respect from other people. Like if you are really upset because you have a family member who doesn't subscribe to the Christmas or the Easter, It may be because they're seeing your energy that knows the truth that isn't a lot acknowledging it. So acknowledge it and see if there's a switch up with your family. And they say that person sees it and they're becoming more authentic. They're more in truth now. And now we feel more comfortable sitting together again. So that could really help you. If you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're saying, I just don't subscribe to any of these holidays at all, I don't like paganism, that's okay too. That's okay. One thing that I want you to consider is that I don't want you to hate the holidays anymore. If you're struggling with the holiday blues and you get naturally really depressed around this time, this is something that you want to work towards healing or balancing or bringing harmony to. Some considerations to take that may help you to form new rituals is I want you to look at all of these holidays and see what you do like about them. See if there's something you can, look at their origins, look at their roots, find the truth, sit with yourself, your spirit team, Mama Gaia. And I want you to begin to pick the rituals that you do like. I recommend if you want to keep some sort of holiday practice, maybe look into the solstice practices, or celebrating or doing a ritual around the solstices. This is what I recommend that I've found in my life to switch me from hating holidays to loving holidays, is finding something that connects me to Mama Gaia, to Earth and the seasons. So we as human beings are cyclical beings, and our ancestry across the world practice some sort of tradition, holiday, ritual. So it's tied to us being human is what I'm saying. A lot of us that feel that we don't feel like we belong here. A lot of us we may identify as like star seeds, whatever that may be. You're human now. You're a human right now. You're a human spirit, and you're cyclical, and you change with the seasons. And most people, and maybe you're called to this video and you don't pray, but prayer seems to be across the board a very common universal ritual that helps a lot of people. So maybe you could try to, if anything, when there's a change of season, take note to make a specific prayer at the change of the seasons. You could maybe come up with a prayer ritual on holidays that help you to find peace and love. Do things that help you to commemorate cycles. Do things or rituals or practices that help you to be in gratitude with the change of the seasons, the new day, the birth and the renewal that we are constantly in. This may help you to find some peace with the holiday season. So for example, when the fall solstice comes around, I will go outside and try to bring in some sort of plant, bark, rock, anything from earth, anything that has like the elements connected to it from outside, tied to that season. Acorns are a good one. Pine is a good one. I usually will do that more for like winter solstice. Pumpkins are a good one in the fall time. Bringing in cinnamon sticks in the colder seasons. These are all things that you can do to really help you to get into that yummy, I love the holiday season vibe. And you can maybe set up an altar with, in the fall, your pumpkins. And in mediumship, across the board, universally, pumpkins are usually a positive symbol. They are a symbol for protection. They're a symbol for harvest. So you could maybe get in the fall time, when there's the change of the season, take time to look in your life at what's shedding. Fall is about shedding, of the old. Things are beginning, the leaves change colors, they fall off the trees. So what is falling off your tree in your life now that must fall off your tree now in order for you to blossom again in the summer? So you may get some orange and red and yellow leaves and bring them in with some acorns and some pumpkins and put cinnamon sticks. To symbolize, the cinnamon can bring in abundance, it can bring in luck, it can bring in fortune. So you put this all on an altar, and every time you walk by it, you thank the earth for the season of fall. You thank the earth for the season of fall within your life, the changing of, the shedding of the old in your life. And you may light candles, you may get colorful candles, you may choose to have like a gathering and a potluck dinner with your friends and family around the fall Doesn't have to be on Thanksgiving. I like to start practicing like a fall solstice type of energy ritual around September, October. Really around the Halloween time is when I like to go into like my fall ritual. And I like the idea of potluck. We're communal beings, so like if you can gather your friends and everybody brings a dish to share, and you go into prayer together about the things that are shedding in your life and the things you're trying to welcome in. Appreciation, gratitude is really tied to the season of fall and all holidays too. So maybe that might be something that you start with your children to come, or your children that you have now. You say, I don't want them to do the Halloween, So what about like having a holiday where you gather and just celebrate that things are changing, that we're about to start to prepare for a cold season. Okay. So this may be something that helps you to feel more peace at the holiday in the with the fall holidays that we have. And you don't have to buy into like going and, holidays are all about buying and profit a lot of the times in America. And it keeps people spending. And unfortunately, with the tough times many have been dealing with, it keeps people in debt. And unfortunately, it keeps these kids wanting more and more and more without this understanding that the times are changing. So, you don't have to buy into that. Don't hate it though. It's not your job to hate what other people are doing. You are only going to make yourself sick if you stay in hate and you get mad every time you walk by all the pumpkins and you get mad every time you walk by all the turkeys and da 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 da. It just makes you so angry. What is that doing for anyone? It's not doing anything good for you. It's not doing anything good for the earth. It's not doing anything good for your family. So do shadow work around the holidays. Find, the fall solstice. This is a great time to forgive your family. You may hate holidays because you are fighting with your family and you're separate from your family, and deep down you really want to be with them. Forgive them at this time. Do a ritual where you write down, the things you want to forgive and burn it. Do a ritual like that, this change of the season. Usually the change of the seasons are heightened portals for your prayers, for your rituals, and for your traditions. So that may be something you can consider. Then it doesn't stop, right? And then we go into December and there's Christmas and you've got this red and green everywhere and the snowmen and you've got the reindeer and the Santa Claus and you're like, oh my God, that's a pedophile. And oh my God, that's the Yule. And we want to bring justice to the planet right now, but we cannot hate is what this message is all about. So in the winter solstice, this is a time that I usually will, I connect with water. A lot of times the water element's frozen around this time of the year. So I like to connect with the water. I also really like to connect with pine, whether it's pine cones or, like the evergreen tree is really popular. I'm from Western New York, so a tradition we used to have in my family, we would go literally in the snow where it's cold, you have your snowsuit on, and you would go into like a Christmas tree lot and you'd take a saw and you'd cut the tree down and you'd strap it to your car. You don't see that very often anymore, and you don't really see that in Dallas, Texas, okay? That's what I used to do. That's a really awesome ritual. It's witchcraft, yes. Anytime that you are intentionally doing a ritual, anytime that you are bringing in some element from outside into your home, it's symbolic and it's deeply ritualistic in witchcraft. And witchcraft is not a bad thing either. So everybody is a witch that I see, everyone. If you can think it, you become it. That's witchcraft. If you can say it, you can spell it. That's witchcraft. When you start to bring in elements, you're really getting into the witchcraft. And I like to give the symbology of a mother making soup for her child over the fire, which is an element. She has the water, which is an element, usually in a metal pot, and she brings in the herbs and she prays into her soup to heal her child. That's a positive witchcraft spell. That's a positive witchcraft ritual. Whether you see it or not, I'm trying to help open your horizon here to seeing really, to stop demonizing spirituality, to stop demonizing who we are as spiritual, ritualistic, cyclical beings that are very much so connected to thought, intention, and the elements. And that is our power. That's our magic. So I don't get a tree, but Christmas trees or evergreen trees, the first time as I awokened, I remember walking into my apartment one day and it smelled like evergreens so profoundly. Now I have Claire Augustine, which is the ability to smell through my clairs, so phantom smells, and it was the angels. The angels filled my apartment with evergreen smell. It was so beautiful. Um, and if you have candles that smell like evergreen, of course, make sure they're soy and not toxic, but it's a beautiful, beautiful frequency. This is the witchcraft, the good stuff. The frequency of scent will influence your brain, your neurochemistry, which will influence your manifestations in your prayer. So a tree is really symbolic of, we could get deep with this one. The body is usually what the tree is symbolic of, life. Christmas trees or evergreen trees can be really symbolic of angelic protection, thanksgiving, gratitude, protection, prosperity, abundance. Okay. So you could maybe, if you don't want to get a whole tree, go get some like evergreen or pine leaves, cut them and put them on an altar and have that essence by your holiday or winter solstice altar in prayer rituals. White candles are really nice to have along for this time as well, and pine cones, which are really a symbolic protection symbol. And it also reminds me a lot of the third eye, the pineal gland. Okay. So intuition, clarity, insight, deep thinking, profound understanding. So what is it that you're trying to manifest in the wintertime? Usually, we're buried under the snow. It's like, it's a cold season. And you have to understand that sometimes silence doesn't mean that things aren't working in the background. So a lot of times the winter time, it's good to keep, not use as much electricity, go by candlelight and use fire and be reflective. You may stock up on things. You don't have to always be going out. You may gather around the fire and sit with your family more around this time, which will make you happier by statistics. And you could really take this time to be in stillness, is where I'm going with that, with the electricity off and you're just sitting by the flame. You're stocked up, you're prepared, and you're just going in. And although you're in this period of like, it's cold, things aren't really working out yet, things are being prepared for the spring. It's like the elves are working to bring the presents forward. We don't see the elves work, but things are working, they're working for us. So it's like in the wintertime, this is all about the things that we can't really see. Things tend to slow down, but we have to trust and have faith that things are still working out for us to be birthed in the springtime. So this is what the winter is all about. And if you take a holiday to practice that, you may feel a lot of peace. And winter solstice is a really great time to manifest what you're trying to birth in the springtime. So take appreciation for the season of stillness and desolate, things being barren. It's bleak, it's cold, but we trust that it's going to be sunny again. We trust that this season is so important. So beautiful to go through the season of nothingness so that things can blossom in the spring. That's kind of the energy I see the winter time. And this may help you to find a tremendous amount of peace. And again, if you like the whole concept of like potluck dinner with your friends, gather your friends and family around the winter solstice and have a nice dinner of gratitude, appreciation, and togetherness by the fire. That may help you to feel better. And then we get into the next big one is New Year's Eve. I think that this is a very rowdy time. I'm a big supporter of it, especially as a Black American, knowing really what it means. I'm not against the Gregorian calendar. I believe in astrology, like modern day astrology. I think it works and it does help to time your life. So I'm not anti it, but I just see the New Year's as more of a time of people are going to come together and be very rowdy and very drunken, as an excuse to celebrate the new year. That's what I see. You may find that this is a good time to do some sort of new year ritual. This may be a time where you're looking back and being very reflective of the previous year and what you're trying to do and manifest for the coming year. Make it yours. Maybe it's the only time of the year you drink some champagne, drink some wine, like feel sensual at any time, like you can. Oh, yeah, I'm always for the erotica, but, what are your desires? That's really what the New Year's brings. That's what the New Year asks. What are your desires? Look into the erotica. What are you trying to do better for yourself? I think with the New Year's, we often have like this whole New Year's resolution. How are you going to stay dedicated to what you're trying to do though? Because usually by statistics, within the first like 3 weeks, people like they go to the gym, and then 3 weeks and they're like, potato chips, feet up, they don't want to stick to their resolution. So what are you going to commit to yourself on the New Year's? What are you going to commit to spirit? Volunteering is just coming through me right now to share. I think that there's no better time to volunteer, to give back, to do something of service. And that's what I really appreciate about Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's what I want you to do too. If you hate Thanksgiving and you hate Christmas, what can you see good in it? And I think it's actually, if there's any demonic holiday that's dark and evil, I think it's Thanksgiving. But that's not what I'm saying here. We're trying to look at the glass half full. What can you see is good about Thanksgiving and Christmas? These are times that people tend to give back. They tend to give gifts. They give presents at this time. They start to become a little bit more humble. You like to go around them now because they're finally like you. Come on, have fun. But this may be good time, Spirit saying that you do, you may not practice a ritual, but you go out and give an hour of volunteerism to a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter around Thanksgiving or Christmas time. You may go to an animal shelter if you're really empathic and you work with animals and love them. You may go and work with animals or donate at this time of the year. These are really good things to help you to get out of that hate to love and help you to feel more human. And that's what I really want you to do, because most of you watching this will be feeling very alone at these times, and that's why you're very sad and depressed. We aren't meant to be alone, dear one. We aren't meant to be alone and separate from our families. These times are up and down. These times are backwards. And I'm not blaming you. I've been alone, and I understand. And I refuse to sit where I'm not respected. So that's why. I don't associate or am estranged from my family. But what I've had to do is learn to be open to new family, new friends, new holidays and traditions is what I'm saying. So maybe this is a time of the year where you plant the seeds of intentions of realigning yourself and being open to not only healing your relationship wounds, but bringing in new people in your life. You're not your shadow tribe, but your light tribe, your healed tribe. This is a really good time to begin to manifest that. So then we go into the Cupid, the Valentine's Day. This year, I haven't practiced Valentine's Day. It's even hard for me to say because I just don't say it. Probably since I was a little girl or in high school or something, I would dress in red and do something with chocolates. My mom always had chocolates for us on all the holidays. My mom is big on the holidays. And I appreciate her for that. I appreciate the gifts, right? So I haven't practiced Valentine's Day in forever. I don't really pray to Cupid. But if you are, this is something juicy, maybe you're trying to manifest love this year. Why not take this portal day to set up a red candle and pink candle altar with some beautiful flowers that make you feel sensual and love and giving and community, and put them on your prayer altar. You may put a vision board of the love, relationship, and qualities you're trying to manifest in yourself and in a partnership and family, okay, on that altar. And that might be a good time for you to get into birthing a love partner. Take advantage of it. Make it yours is what I'm saying. Then we get into Easter. Maybe you're trying to literally work on your fertility. Maybe you're trying to manifest your baby. So why not take the portal of spring, which is where I begin to celebrate again. So again, I celebrate fall, winter, spring, and summer. That's when I celebrate my holidays and my birthday. That's what I celebrate. So maybe you're trying to manifest a pregnancy or a child. Maybe you're going into, wanting to adopt. This would be a good time to work with the fertility goddess. This would be a good time to work with the symbol of the egg. And that's not just Celtic. I know African tribes use egg stones, and in Asia, there's Asian stones that use egg symbols and stones and of this nature. So it's very universal to have like an egg on your altar, to bring in fertility, renewal, birth, creation, all of that symbology. It's a good witchcraft. It's positive witchcraft you can use at that time of the year. So let's say I'm not looking to have kids at this time of the year. I'm not into praying to any other god or goddess but Jesus. That's fine too. I'm just trying to help you to not hate so much. Don't hate. That's where we get dark within our own selves. So maybe you want to keep all of that out and you just say, I can appreciate it's springtime. What I was just planning to let go in the fall, to think of creating in the winter, is now being birthed in the spring. So I can honor and respect that. Okay. So maybe you go and get some daffodils. Maybe you go get some white flowers, which symbolically represent purity, renewal, grace, innocence. A lot of times they have the bunnies, which is really a symbol for fertility. And rabbits make a lot of babies. They do it quick too. So it's a motherhood, feminine symbol. You could, I think of also the cross around this time, and the cross isn't really necessarily a Christianity symbol. It's an ancient symbol that goes even further before Christianity. You could maybe have crosses out at that time of the year. Whatever is symbolic to you, bring it out on an altar, bring it into a ritual, gather the potluck, get your friends again and celebrate that it's time for things to start blossoming. It's time for your garden to start getting those sprouts out. What you had let go of last year to welcome in something new in the winter is now being born. You're starting to get the sweet stuff starting to drop into your life in the springtime that you've long awaited in the long, cold, desolate winter time. Now it's time for your flowers to bloom and blossom. So, I don't do the happy Easter. I don't say the happy Merry Christmas. I'm not into that. But in the springtime, I do bring in those flowers and in candles. And if I were to want to do a fertility ritual, I could respect the eggs coming into the home. And there's a lot of like crystal eggs that you can get maybe you want to manifest love around the fertility portal. You could get a rose quartz egg and bring that on your altar. Be fun, get creative, but just have fun and appreciate that there is something new brewing at the horizon. There is more sunlight now. There is more warm weather now. The earth is heating up. This is new. Your body's changing. Your rhythms are changing. Your sleep cycles are changing. So you're just bringing awareness to yourself. That's changing, the earth that's changing, and all that is, which is God, essentially, which all of these holidays could be about, is the cyclical nature of God within and around us. And again, we're all human, so we're connecting together in ritual and tradition. I then like to celebrate that it's summertime, because this is when we feel the best. This is when my sleep cycle is really good. And, I can wake up really early and feel very refreshed and get outside in the sunlight and go by the pool. So I celebrate that things are in full spring, full blossom, and going forward, and that there's so much abundance. When I think of summertime, I think of play, I think of fun, I think of nature, I think of vacations, I think of how thankful I am that things finally worked out for me. So that could be a time that you do another holiday with your children or your family or your friends or just yourself in private with spirit. So the moral of the story is that you're here to write your own story. I want you to look deep into these holidays and choose what you find respectable and love and do it. And to find peace with where you're at in life and to respect the cycles of life. And to start looking at things not just dualistically. Understand that you're part of a bigger collective, and that your energy that you bring forward and the frequencies that you tune into can make a difference. So you're not alone. This is January, 3rd, 2025. We're at the first quarter of the century, right? So my prayer for you today Dear one, is that you find more love in your heart. You find more peace in your heart. I acknowledge that that this world is dark at a lot of the times, and that the world has dark practices that we feel we feel bad if we don't want to do it. You feel like you're outside of the box. That's okay. I pray that you find peace in your authenticity, and you find love in your authenticity, and you stand true and confident in yourself, and that you begin to really love the celebration of the cycles that nobody can take from you, nobody can colonize from you, that you are the cycle, you are the season, you are God, the goddess, and I appreciate you for watching. So, namaste.